It's the best and the worst of 2021 on Amigos, episode 332. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today, Aaron, we're going to look back on a year. What a year it was.
Oh, yeah. It's been a heck of a year, Bo.
2021.
Yeah.
You know, some people say it's a year that will live in infamy.
Well, what would you say, it was better or worse than 2020?
Oh, it was definitely better. Here's the thing. 2021, if you were going to choose one thing that brought you the most joy from 2021, what would it be?
Well, let's see. You know, you ready for the baloney answer?
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it. My son has gotten taller. His voice got deeper. He's becoming a man right before my eyes. It fills me with much delight because this is a child who was so small when he was born that the doctors were afraid we had to put him on steroids, you know, to bulk him up and to get him to be taller because he was going to be so small. He was a preemie. And he has blossomed this year into a young man. Yeah. And it's brought me a great deal of pleasure. Now, I do feel like we're robbing him from his childhood, his remaining days, because he can't do anything because of what's going on. But that's what you do. It can't be helped. So I have taken quite a bit of pleasure in watching that as generic an answer as that is. What about you? I
got to be honest with you. It's sitting right here in the new and improved Amigo Studios East.
That's what it is?
It is. This is, you know, all from like March through a couple weeks ago, we were doing this show remote. And when you said, man, we're going to start recording in the building again, it's me and Brent. You were talking about you and Brent. We hadn't even discussed us coming together again. I was dead set against the idea, if you can recall, because I was afraid of the sound issues. I was afraid of the production issues. And when I walked in to the arcade and I saw what we have before us now, I was blown away. The setup that you have created, that you've concocted, that you spent hours and hours
literally
setting up
minutes.
Listen, we spent hours and hours just getting this one show set up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, comfortable chairs together again. The green screen is doing its job, perfectly lit. We've got a brand new camera that was financed by this show. Show dollars paid for this camera. So this is what's made 2021 for me, just coming together again.
Well, that's nice. That's nice, Bo. I will say recording together is far better than not. Yeah. I've enjoyed the shows a lot more. We'll get the rest of it ironed out. Still the sound. We'll work on everything. But yeah, this is what we wanted to do when we first got the arcade built, but it was just...
Well, it took a while to figure out exactly how to make it come to fruition.
Well, people, if you could see what we've got rigged up here, it's the most ludicrous taping thing you've ever seen, but it does work for us, and it is somehow fitting up the phony baloney job we do on the show. So
yes.
It works out pretty well.
Yes. So, Aaron, today we come together to talk about the best and the worst of 2021 in terms of the games that we played. You know, Aaron, we played 54 games this year on Amigos.
Yeah.
And I want to say I was probably around for 50 of them. I had to miss a couple weeks here and there for various occasions and trips and things. And Brent always does a good job.
You were very cunning when you left, I might add. I
wait for the hard games.
Yeah.
that I
couldn't help but notice that with Designosaurus hung in view. You were nowhere to be seen.
If there's one thing we need to talk about before we dive into the best and the worst, it's this week's Amiga News. Amiga News. I totally forgot. All right, Aaron, we kick things off this week with a game that's, you know, we're still in the holiday season, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, there's another holiday coming, yeah.
Right. So we've got a special festive edition of a game called Bean versus the Animator. Now, do you remember this game, Aaron?
No. I love Mr. Bean.
Well, this has nothing to do with Mr. Bean, unfortunately. This is a game that is it's sort of like Terminator 2. Do you remember Terminator 2, the arcade game?
Yeah,
there's some video on this if you want to run the clip down there from Saberman. This is a game that you basically, you've got various enemies that scroll across the screen quickly, and you've got a gun which is really controlled by your mouse pointer, and you fire into the enemies. Now, I believe that the first rendition of this game, they might be sort of zombie robots, but not in the Festive Edition. In the Festive Edition, they're all about the old snowman, Aaron. Aaron, have you ever taken a snowman to task?
I have been known to beat up on a snowman now and again. That's true.
Yeah.
They're creepy to me.
Really?
Yeah, I like them.
Now, when you make do you make snowmen?
No. I mean, when I was a little kid, I made one, but we don't get enough snow now to make one.
That's true.
You can make like an action figure. That's all you can do. We don't get enough snow to make a big old snowman with a big, huge, body and stuff.
Right. So if you can't get enough of the festive holiday spirit, you can blast away at presents. Givers of presents and killer snowmen on Bean versus the Animator. It's Snow Joke.
Do you find it odd that this is a festive holiday game where it's snowing in this cemetery? That struck you as odd? I mean, these are also robots. I mean, it's all very strange.
Yeah.
So they've basically taken the minimalist festive attack on this old game.
That's probably true. Now, Edvin in the chat does point out it does support the light gun. So if you're one of those lucky few that have the Amiga supported light gun, you can go to town with this thing.
Can't you use like the Master System light gun on this thing?
I think you probably can.
I've got one.
It's got the same pinouts.
We should try that sometime.
We should. That would be cool. Do a light gun rundown. Yeah. So yeah, Bean versus the Animator. It's Snow Joke.
Oh man.
Check it out.
Yeah.
All right, Aaron. Coming up next, we've got some new videos to talk about. I've clicked back. What have we got coming up next here?
Company Crunch.
Oh yes. Crunch. So this is Kim Justice has done. She's done a series of videos about some significant Amiga developers, and she's combined them all into one mega video. So if you happen to miss any of her reporting on the Bitmap Brothers, Team 17, a couple of these other guys, you can check this out all in one video.
Imagine. That's a great one, yeah.
And I watched the one on the Bitmap Brothers last night.
Yeah.
I've got to say, I do have slightly more respect now
I was hoping
for the Bitmap Brothers. And I'll tell you why, it really doesn't have anything to do with their games. What I didn't realize, Aaron, is that the Bitmap Brothers were Renegade Publishing. Their publishing arm was Renegade. And Renegade did all kinds of awesome games. They did all the Sensible games. They had a special deal with them where they could do that. They did Rough and Tumble. Of course, they did Gods. Gods was published under the Renegade label of Bitmap Games. So, I enjoy this. Of course, Kim's videos, I'm one of the biggest Kim marks out there. I think she does just a great job. Her presentation's always spot on. So if you're looking for something to watch in the dark, cold winter hours, you could do worse than checking out this documentary on these Amiga developers.
I wonder if she's done anything on Core. Because I've got something to say about them later in the show.
Oh, okay.
We'll save that.
Okay.
For later on. But yeah, I like her stuff too. It's always solid gold money, but I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Now, moving down the line, Aaron, we've got one more Kim video. We got back-to-back Kim Justice action. This is a look at the best and worst Amiga Christmas cover discs. Okay.
Now this might be because we would never have any idea on this.
Right. And she goes down, and it's interesting because there are some games that appeared on special issues of Christmas magazines that had nothing to do with Christmas. Sometimes the link was, shall we say, tenuous.
Yeah.
But she goes through, and I'll tell you something that's interesting. Remember the Cannon Fodder Sensible Soccer mashup where you're kicking around the bomb?
Yeah.
That game actually came out before Cannon Fodder. So that was the first time people really got to see the Cannon Fodder sprites and everything.
Huh.
That was a Christmas cover disc game. Yeah.
That is wacky.
And of course you've got your Fire and Ice Christmas edition we had to look at, Christmas Lemmings and all that stuff. And it's an interesting look at also how these companies, basically they would find companies that were recently defunct or companies that were down on their luck, and they would say, hey, you want to sell us this game to put on the cover disc, get you some extra bucks. So a really interesting look at the publishing side of things as well as these game reviews of these Christmas games.
That's neat. I know that's very interesting. I never had a thought of how that worked.
Yeah. All right, Aaron, coming down next in line, we have a new game coming out. This one is called Project Quest. Okay, and this is I think it looks pretty good. This is a top-down Chaos Engine Alien Breed style game.
Yeah.
But it moves a little bit slower, which is not a bad thing. But I really like the colors. It's more fantasy inspired than Chaos Engine, which is that steampunk look.
Yeah.
This is an upcoming game that is being developed with, I believe, let's see, this is by Electric Black Sheep, and it's using the Project Horizon engine, and this is a new build of level 2, which is a playable build. You can download it. What do you think about this, Aaron?
It looks good. It looks okay. From what they've got here, it sort of looks kind of gauntlet-y, in a way.
I like all the detail, and it's not like one of these games where you're just constantly going around areas that look like they're just tile swaps. You've got candles, you've got bookshelves, you've got a castle, and it looks like there's some you're talking to NPCs, you're collecting items, so maybe sort of a combination adventure game and shooter.
It looks very nice.
Yeah.
Is there a release date in mind on this one?
This one, no current release date, but it says that you can, of course, go to the source on our links and keep up to date with the project. And of course, just follow Indie Retro News. They're always on top of all this stuff.
Indeed. That looks good.
Yeah.
Good find there, but I hadn't heard about that one.
Now, Aaron, I'm not sure if you had a chance to watch this or not, but I wanted to bring it up since it is a new video from the man himself, Mr. Doug. This is the Amiga review. He's finally reviewed it, Aaron. Have you had a chance to watch this from Doug yet?
I'm trying to remember if I saw this. I don't think I did, actually. What did he think?
Well, I haven't watched it yet, so I can't tell you. But I wanted to tell you that video is out there. You can check it out. He goes through his normal in-depth look where he takes a look.
Oh, wait, I did watch this.
Okay, tell us about it.
I actually did watch it. It's exactly what he thought. It shows him install it. He uses it. He does some of the Doug stuff. He runs a lot of utilities on it. He likes it. He gives it the thumbs up this week. He also, we missed an episode that I want to talk about Doug, and I don't think you've got this on your list while we've got this up. We missed an episode, I think it's while you were gone, where it was Doug's A500 overhaul episode. And in the episode, and this is why I bring it up, Doug decides to go and recap his 500. Right? Did you see this one?
No.
Well, I knew when he showed the tools he was going to use, he was going to have problems because one of the things he uses is one of those old style solder suckers that just
the thing with the ball on the
It's
end.
like a plunger type deal. So he went through the whole rigmarole what he was going to do, and then there's a cut, and he goes, I finished recapping it, and now it doesn't work. So he goes, so I've sent it to Frank, and that was in the video, and I sent him a message. I said, listen, that happens to the best of us, man.
Yeah.
When it comes to doing this stuff,
it's not
hard.
easy.
And especially if you don't have the right tools. One thing that a guy like Retro Rewind, for example, has got, cheap plug, is that he has all the tools you need and this is expensive stuff that you wouldn't have at your house.
Right.
To take those caps out. And it's a challenge to do that sort of work, or take out sockets, or change out connectors. That stuff's difficult for your average layperson who doesn't have access to a solder pot or a huge soldering station. So I enjoyed that. I like the fact that Doug had the jack. He could have just said nothing, but I like a guy who'll go in and say, "Listen, I screwed this up."
Right.
And that's what I like. Good on you, Doug.
One of the good things too is that maybe some people that were a little bit nervous about recapping their Amiga, knowing that they have Frank as kind of a backstop.
Yeah.
Because cap kits are cheap.
Yeah.
You can get a cap kit for almost nothing. You can give it a shot. You can get some experience soldering. If it doesn't work out, you know that you can ship it to Frank and he'll make it right.
Now, in terms of the video we're talking about here, where he's trying to buy Amiga, one of the striking things on this is render times and stuff that he goes through. And it is ludicrous how much faster this is than a stock. I mean, it's 1,000-fold faster. So, when you're waiting on stuff to render graphics, you can't go wrong with something like a Pi Amiga. If you are comfortable with using it, it's a nice package. Once you install all the stuff you need to put on there and the ROMs and all that jive, you're good to go. And Doug gives it high marks. It's an excellent package that obviously that Chris Edwards spent a lot of time tweaking and honing into what it is. And he went through the ringer over that, as we I don't know if you were there for that episode. I mean, Brent talked about him getting death threats and stuff.
What crazy stuff.
And ludicrous stuff. So, big thumbs up to Chris for doing the job. And Doug does an excellent job of going through and, he does find a few things that he doesn't like. And Doug doesn't like the interface that was used. He didn't like. He wants it more old school. But that's preference stuff. And Doug says that. So, it's a good look at it. I give it a shot. Doug, he's very good at these sorts of things too. This is right up his alley.
The Pi Amiga will run on both. Will it run on only the 4? It's only for the 4?
I'm not 100% sure what it's specifically made for.
Okay.
With you.
Okay.
I would wager it probably is just for the 4.
It will definitely run best on the 4.
It's a shame that there's no there's a lot of incompatibilities between the two. I believe. Seems like maybe Doug runs it on that keyboard gimmick. I can't recall the numbers at the 400 or whatever that
the keyboard thing. That's the thing you got Brent, right?
That's the thing I got Brent.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll find out. So maybe we'll knock that off with the Brent.
Cool. All right, Aaron. Next on the list. Speaking of Chris Edwards, we've got, and this is another one. Full disclosure: I have not had time to watch this. I just saw it pop up today. This is the AMD Athlon Amiga 3.9 XL build.
Now, this is where you take and install Amiga OS on a what effectively is a PC board,
right? An
Athlon board. I have a couple of these Athlon boards lying around, and I've actually thought about giving this a shot. It would be neat. This is one of those things. How many Amigas do you need sitting around? 30, 50? I don't know. But it's kind of neat, and I think there's a similar situation that you can do with the Mac. Isn't there some piece of hardware that you can install Mac OS on a certain? You can install Amiga on certain Macs.
Right, it's the old PowerPC Macs, yeah.
So this is the same sort of thing. Of course, Chris runs through here. I caught some of this. I haven't got to watch the whole thing yet, but I'm sort of interested in it just because I've got those. I mean, how many people have old Athlon boards sitting around? Probably not too many. I don't know what they're going for these days.
Right.
AMD made Athlons, and they're getting up there now. This is the older Athlons. It's been quite a while since those were released, so I don't know how readily available they are.
It might be kind of a neat project if you've got an old case to slap it in, and you want to experiment with OS 3.9, which I guess at this point is almost just a different fork of Amiga. It's a totally different beast than your...
this stuff, it's fun to watch people fool with this stuff, but here we are, Boat. Me and you, neither one of us tool around with the Amiga for that sort of stuff. And so there's not much of a use for us to fool with it. That's why I haven't done it. I mean, let's call a spade, and you're not going to do it either. No. But it could be done, just like the Pi thing. If I didn't have the Mister, that would probably be a pretty awesome thing. Maybe for the brand or someone that's got one of the... I mean, it's a cheap way to get into Amiga with that. This is the same thing if you've got the hardware lying around. But I don't know if I'd go out of my way to go buy an Athlon and stuff, especially since you can get the Pi Amiga. I would almost guarantee you that a Pi 4 was cheaper than going out and getting an Athlon system, but maybe it's not. I don't know. It'd be close, maybe.
Yeah, but that I enjoy. You're exactly right. Am I going to do this ever in my life? No. But I love the fact that people out there like Chris do this stuff because I can vicariously enjoy his antics.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, Aaron. And speaking of enjoying antics. My favorite piece of Amiga media has had a new release, back from the dead, from the grave.
I can't wait to see this. I've got to watch this.
I couldn't sleep last night, and this is one of the things that just made my evening. I was sitting up late watching this thing. This is the Amiga show. It is back. This is done by the man, Anthony Jarvis. The only Amiga show that is entirely produced and released on an actual Amiga computer. Of course, the last step goes through a normal computer. But anyway, he produces this whole thing through a video toaster and various accoutrements. And this is sort of, it's a little bit different, this episode. Instead of his normal rundown, where he does some magazine stuff. This is just kind of bits and bobs that he had left over laying around throughout the year. He gives you a tour of his studio. He talks about an Amiga, or he talks about a retro event that he went to. He talks about they were trying to sell the Addams Family for £90. 90 pounds.
You should jump on that boat.
Boy, I tell you, I'd love to have a box copy of the Addams Family.
What would you pay for that?
Not 90 pounds.
What's your top limit?
I paid 20 pounds for it. That's about 30. That's about $35.
Are you nuts? What kind of collect? Now, how much would you pay for the SNES version?
Oh, less. I'd pay much less
Is
for that.
I mean, are those rare on the Super Nintendo?
I'm guessing the Amiga version is more rare than the Super Nintendo version. But the Amiga box version looks cooler. It's a big box.
Yeah.
The Super Nintendo boxes aren't great. Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
that's true.
So anyway, Anthony takes you through that, and then he spends some time playing Oh, look at the shirt he's wearing too, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I love it.
He spent some time playing Slayers of High Toro. This is a game that we heard about a couple weeks ago from Pixels at Dawn. This is a really interesting game. It's a game sort of like it's a hex-based kind of capture different sections of the board type thing. It didn't look like it was too super complicated. It looked like I could wrap my head around it. I'm thinking about maybe picking it up at some point in the future. It's one of the few games, and I'm going to echo what Pixels at Dawn said, it's one of the few Amiga games that's actually trying something new. That's just not a shooter or a platformer or something like that. So you got to give the guy props, and it was actually developed with an AI algorithm. He developed the algorithm on the PC, and then he shrunk it down and put it on the Amiga. So there's all kinds of like procedural thought that the computer goes into on how to react to different situations and stuff. It's really interesting.
No kid, wow.
Yeah. So Anthony does, I mean, it's hands down, it's the best Amiga content on the internet. And I really hope that he brings the show back on a more regular basis if his work schedule allows in 2021.
I love Anthony's stuff.
Yeah.
Not just because I was on there one time. That was great.
Yeah. That was a lot. That's probably the most work you've ever done.
That's the most work I've ever done for any show.
Yeah. All right, Aaron. That is going to end the news for this week. I think we should spend a little bit of time talking about our good buddy Frank over at Retro Rewind and this new thing he's got cooking over here. This is the Amiga 4-player adapter. Now, Aaron, you said that in the past these things were available, right?
Well, I mean, you've read about them. You could make them. They were sold at some point. I mean, maybe you could get them now if you looked real hard. But it's one of those things. There are quite a few Amigas. I remember looking them up with you one time. All the games that support this, the old port, you put this in the back of your Amiga and you can hook a couple extra joysticks. There were quite a few games, including one of my all-time favorites, which is TV Sports Basketball. Supports to have 4 players. Think about that. It's kind of neat. The thought that you could have a 4-player game of that, because it's great with 2 players. With 4 players, I'd love to try it sometime.
Absolutely.
And this is one of those things you can sort of bodge one together if you wanted to. But, by the time you went and got the stuff and did all the work, he's only charging $15 for this.
I guarantee you, if you bought the parts and had them shipped to you, you would not be able to get this thing for $15.
Yeah, it's just you just have to you have to solder them together.
You got to solder it together. You're taking the risk of bodging it. I mean,
you've got this is I think that's a real decent price. This has full support for every Amiga model, including the Amiga 1000.
Wow, nice.
And support for continuous fire via the onboard dip switches, which I did see this. He's got special jacked up
rapid fire
for the rapid fire. Pretty slick. I love it, and we definitely. Now this is something I would love to do for Boat Fest is get the old 4-player games ready.
Heck yeah,
as many as we can. And that would be a big fun time.
Yeah.
So I think this is great. Frank had a great Christmas, of course. We mentioned last week about the donation, the money he donated to the local food pantry. That went off without a hitch. And as we enter the new year, he's got a bunch of sticks in the fire. I talk to Frank occasionally and see what he's got coming up. And so he's going to have a big year. But he told me this has been a great year for him. And I think there's more things to come. Of course, if you're not familiar with Retro Rewind, gosh, we talked about them quite a bit on the show. It's a great outfit. Frank sells a lot of great products. He sells everything from the new Amiga OS stuff, all the Kickstart chips, all the way up to cap kits, the Kung Fu flashcards for your C64, the SDC cartridges for the Coco. There's Coco stuff there. There's C64, C128, CDTV, all the Cs, everything in the Commodore family you can get stuff for at Retro Rewind. He also is full service, including recapping your machines, and which I'm going to take full advantage of that next time I see him. And he will take care of your repairs as well. And he is not some Johnny-come-lately. This guy's been a professional computer repair guy and design guy for decades.
Yeah. All the way back to when he was on Tech TV with Leo Laporte.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah.
So if you are interested in picking something up or having something fixed, and especially if you're in North America, being that Frank is in Canada. He will set you up good and proper. And even if you're not in the States or in Canada, he gets a lot of stuff from the UK, Europe, all over the area. So feel free to hit him up and check him out at RetroRewind.ca, Bode.
Bam.
And
Bam.
as if that wasn't enough, why not save a few bucks? Help out your boys. Me and the Bode a little bit while you're there. Use the promo code Amigos10, Bode. Save a few bucks. Save 10%. 10%. That's a couple dollars.
It is.
And then we get a little skin in the game on top of that, thanks to Frank. So check that out, Amigos10. Use that code at RetroRewind.ca, Bode.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, Aaron. The time has come to talk about the best and the worst.
Oh, man. Is it go
2021.
time here? Oh, man. All right, what do you got on what's first on the docket, Bo?
Okay, so we start out with the most surprising game of 2021. So not necessarily the best or the worst, just the most surprising. Now, I chose the game Hunter, Aaron. This was suggested to us by Benny Cake, Amigos Game Selection Committee member Benny Cake. This was episode 319 from October 1st. Hunter, how would you describe it?
Hunter was the GTA of its time in a way. I think you in the episode described it as immersive. I think it's a great way to describe it. It's a playable game that is expansive, and I mean the map is expansive. It's a game where you are set on missions. You have to complete tasks in the game. As I recall, you're defending your homeland from the invaders by doing all these sabotage things and picking people up and getting to people, and you get there via everything from walking, running, and swimming, all the way to flying in helicopters, airplanes, various types of helicopters, boats, cars, bicycles, all sorts of vehicles, all sorts of buildings that you can go into. It's an incredible game, and it's funny that when we covered this, because we'd had a cup of coffee with it on one of the Amigathons, and I thought to myself, that's kind of neat when we played it, but when you sit down and really get into it, a lot of thought was put into the game, and not just the actual gameplay, but the backstory of what they've got going on. It was very impressive. I'll have to say, it was one of the more impressive games we played this year.
You know, this was surprising to me because I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't think a game like this could physically be made to run on the Amiga. I mean, it runs so fast. There is so much to do. There are so many vehicles to get into. There are so many people to interact with. The world is so big. I just thought this was a game that was too big for the humble 16-bit line of computers. It's funny, we should mention this was a game that was originally developed for the Atari ST, and then came to the Amiga. I was surprised by every facet of this game from Jump Street.
Yeah, and even the little stuff, like I like the onboard real-time map. I remember that, which was super handy. You know, the inventory system was good. I liked it. I liked this game a lot. I mean, listen, it's 2021. You go back and play a game like this. I mean, you're going to look at it and be like, my God, that looks so rudimentary. You know, polygonal. It's detailless in a lot of ways. But, I mean, when you put yourself into perspective the time this was released, it was very impressive. And even today, it's got a few tricks you wouldn't expect.
Yeah. Now, Aaron, what was your most surprising game of the year?
What was it?
It was this game.
Yeah, that's what it was.
We both picked the same game on this one.
This one surprised me big time. And listen, we know week after week, we get a little bit of time to know what we're playing. And when this one comes up, I was like, I remembered it from Amiga. I was like, this might be one of these, you know, like goofy things. But I mean, it really did surprise me with how impressive it was and how playable it was. That's the thing that impressed me the most. This is a game you can sit down and play and have a good time with. Yeah,
yeah. Now, I added a little thing in here just before we started because I did want to give it honorable mention, the most surprising category of the year. You know, we went a little insane with the number of categories that the Game Selection Committee picked from this year. In addition, we had our, the flashback category where we chose from the first 50 games. We had, of course, PD Week and all this stuff. But to me, the most surprising category this year was edutainment, Aaron.
It was surprising, all right.
Well, I'll tell you why it was surprising, because most of the edutainment games that we played, I'd say 90% of them I really enjoyed.
Yeah, it was. That's another thing where every week I'm like, this is going to suck. And almost every week, it didn't suck.
Right. So this was a game that I was totally thinking would be super lame and not fun. And I played the heck out of this thing.
It's a game that shouldn't be a game.
Yeah.
That's the fun thing about it. You sit down and play it, and it's like, this is fun, and you're also it works today. Like you could put your kid on it today and improve their typing skills. It was impressive, and this is the first time I ever played one of these Mavis Beacon games.
Me too. I was brand new to it also.
And it was neat. And I was like thinking to myself, where was this when I was learning how to type on this god-awful typewriters when I was in high school? We didn't have word processors or anything. We were big for anything to help. So this is a far cry from that. But I mean, you could easily stick this in any school right now, set the kids down, and they would get some use out of it. I agree with you on that one, buddy.
Yeah. So now we go from the great surprise to the dumpster fire, Aaron.
Oh, man.
We go
I had a heck of a time with this one, Bo.
The worst game of 2021. Now, Aaron, I don't know about you, but when I was looking over the list of games that we played on Amigos this year, we played a lot of stinkers.
Well, a lot of duds.
Yeah.
In fact, I had a tie in this, but I'll lead the dance if I may, Bo.
Sure, man.
And I had trouble. I had two. I wrote down two. It was a tie, but I did that sort of for a reason. And one of the first two I picked was Switchblade. This game, not only did I not like it, but it actually made me angry. It made me furious. The main title character in this is the biggest geek you ever saw, and his fighting skills are atrocious. And you're supposed to fight and claw your way to this bland, ugly game with forever scrolling gray backgrounds as you walk underground with these stupid monsters that pop up out of nowhere. They look dumb. They hug you to death. They grope you to death.
Yep.
Your guy walks around. He makes the guy from Elevator Action look muscular and tough. He's the biggest wiener boy in the history of heroes, and his name is Hero. The backstory of this I remember they were promised some kind of dystopian future, and they were name-dropping crap like Akira and a Blade Runner. Where they got those combinations, I mean, you could have name-dropped anything. This has nothing to do with nothing.
Right.
Unless there's a show out there that involves snakefish attacking a geek, that's the only thing I've heard. What do you think of this one?
Listen, here's what you need to have in a platforming game. It needs to feel right.
Yeah.
And nothing about this game feels right.
No.
I mean, we've played ZX Spectrum platformers that made this game, or that made this game look, I mean, there's no comparison. There's no comparison in how bad this was. This game is called Switchblade. The first 30 to 45 minutes of the game, you do not have a Switchblade. You get nothing.
The one thing I remember from this game is the combat controls. I believe we coined the phrase trombone combat controls because you have to sort of guess the position of the joystick and hope you got it right.
Yeah.
Horrible. And when his main move is the sweep, disaster.
Yeah.
This game was an unmitigated horror. And what made it worse, I went back to check out the show we did this on. And I even loaded it up this week just to give it a whirl. It still stinks, by the way. But I couldn't believe people were like putting it over. That was astounding to me. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" But I guess for some people they liked it.
Yeah, this was really one of the games where I felt like they put 16-bit lipstick on an 8-bit pig.
Yeah, I agree. And while we're on the subject, and I want to ease seamlessly to my other, because I tied for worst game. That's how many bad games we played. The other one I picked out of the heap was Action Fighter. This game also stunk. A horrible coin-op conversion of a not great coin-op game. Now, what do these things both have in common? Well, they both have music by Ben Daglish, unfortunately.
Well, that's 90% of Amiga games.
And they're both done by Core, the much ballyhooed studio. So apparently, whatever reason, Core took a dive on a couple of these games and turned out two big stinkers. I couldn't decide which one I hated more. I hate the concepts, the combat and the backgrounds of Switchblade so much, but it was sort of kind of like a game that you could sort of play, and I did like the map system in it, the way the screens unfurled.
Yeah,
I did like
that was pretty cool.
Where Action Fighter was too hard, unplayable, ugly, stupid game based on a not that great arcade game. So and it's not like the arcade game was something that was a graphical tour de force,
right.
But they still couldn't get it right. If you want to play this game, you want to play it on a Master System. This game was just a dud for me, so I added this in. And thumbs down to Core, stinko. That was not your best work, boys.
Now, Aaron, we move on to the games that should have been great.
All right,
from this year.
What do we got?
Well, I chose Diggers. You remember Diggers, Aaron?
I do remember Diggers.
This is this is kind of a real-time strategy game where you are digging, oddly enough.
Yeah.
You go under the ground, you collect items, you collect gems and stuff, and you bring them back to your house. This game has all the earmarks of a game that can be great. I mean, think about a game like Lemmings. One of the most satisfying things in Lemmings is when you select the lemming that can dig.
Yeah.
And you see him, and he's got his big hands out, and he's going, and you're like, yeah. So just imagine a whole game where you get to do nothing but that, and you're finding things, and you're collecting things, and you're beating up bad guys. Unfortunately, what lets this game down is its truly, truly awful control system. This is one of these games where it's one of those mouse control deals where you have compass points set up, and they're not set up near your character. They're set up in the upper part of the screen. You've got to go up there, and you've got to select down and to the left, and then down and to the right. And it takes you out of the experience, and it's so clunky, and it's so awful. And the thing that makes it even worse is that this was a CD32 launch title.
Yes.
This game was bundled with the CD32, a system that had a controller.
Yeah, this game, first of all, I hate games like that. It's the same reason I don't like Diablo. I don't like using the mouse to move guy around.
Yeah.
All that said, this game, I didn't think this game was double hideous. It was okay. However, to bundle this with your CD32, what in God's name were they thinking? You couldn't find something better than
You're out to try and complete with the PlayStation, and you bring Diggers to the table.
I mean, the PlayStation wasn't around when this thing came out.
Well, I'm just saying,
it wasn't close.
It's the same generation.
The point of it is that you wanted to put your best foot forward.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
You could have put anything out there. Listen, why not put out something that has polygons that looks a little, even the Jaguar put out a polygonal fighter game
or that tank
good
game or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, this was a dud, and this game there was fun to be had here. I think it just wasn't very good.
It was just so close to being great.
Poorly executed.
That was nominated by Pixels at Dawn. This was episode 315 on September 3rd. Now, Aaron, you've got a game here.
Okay, CyberCon 3 was the game I picked for this. That game that was close but no cigar. By the way, this could be the category that I would put the Amiga under. Mm-hmm. Games that you almost got there, but you didn't quite get there. Right. Now, CyberCon 3, I think, is an astounding game, and a lot like Hunter. I'd never played this game. I never heard of this game, and so when we played it, I was blown away.
Yeah, this is another one of those it's the work of one man. He had a dream, and he executed the dream.
Yeah, I thought this was a real good game. Now, what keeps it from being a game you want to go out and play right now? Well, it's confusing. They need to probably tone down the vision a little bit. This was an ambitious title. They added too much stuff to it. They made it too complicated to get around, right? But it's one of those elite titles where it's all packed on like a disc.
Right.
It's amazing how much they packed on there. And if you've got the patience to sit down and play a game like this, there's a lot of fun to be had. I mean, it's real advanced, dealing with all the robots and stuff. But I mean, I like the look of it. I remember there was a very intense backstory to it. It's another one of those where someone put a lot of work into it.
This is one of these games where, again, it's a graphical tour de force. You've got you're in a 3D world, flat shaded polygons, and it moves smooth as silk. It really does move well.
It did real well. So this is one of those you want to give it a shot if you've got time to kill and you're very patient. And with these types of games, something else you've got to do. This is the kind of game where you also have to have not just patience, but you have to have some ability to move the guy around. Like you have to be good with your sense of direction.
And this is not just a walk around a 3D environment, interact with puzzles.
Action,
you've got to jump. You've got to do all kinds of stuff.
This one I think they were on the right track. They didn't quite get there with me, but I thought this had a lot of potential. That's why I stuck it in.
Now, I had a tie on this category.
Okay.
I tied between Diggers and Street Rod, Aaron.
Street Rod?
Yeah, Street Rod was nominated to the AGSC by Hermsky, and this was episode 325 on November 12th. Street Rod, Aaron, was a game that is totally unlike any other racing game I've ever played, in that you get a whole bevy of real cars from real manufacturers.
Yeah.
And this is in the golden age of automotive design, all these classic 40s and 50s and 60s cars. And you can go into your garage and you can tune them up. You can chop the top. You can lower the thing. You can take off the bumpers. All kinds of customization. It's a neat backstory. You're trying to get as much cash as you can before summer's over.
Yeah.
And you challenge all these guys to races. It's graphically very, very impressive. Unfortunately, this game is called Street Rod. And what you're doing in a Street Rod is you're racing.
Yeah.
And what you're not doing in this game is having a lot of fun racing.
Yeah. This game reminded me of it's almost like a Cinemaware title in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And what really gets me is the guys that did this game, I believe they were all Polish, as I recall, and they were all double or triple passionate about this era and the cars. I love the idea of looking through the one ads.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of going to the malt shop and being at the drive-in.
And just watching guys cruise up in their cars.
There was a lot to love here. I would like to have had this. It shows you going back and forth. It would have been a lot more fun to let you drive there in your car.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like the idea that if your car's not cool enough, people won't even race you.
Right.
You know, the pink slips. This game had a lot going for it. It came out of nowhere. It's another one, because I remember when it got picked, I was like, oh, man, this is, well, I don't know about this one. It was fun. It was, you're right. Its weakest element was the fact that the racing was not good.
Yeah.
If they could have put something together, I mean, this is a concept I would love to see revisited, you know, and it would be fun, because I'm not a car guy, Bo, you know that, but this was a joyous game, and they really did a good job setting the era, especially considering these guys are Polish guys. They recaptured that late 50s, early 60s feel, and it was a lot of fun. I had to say this was a sleeper.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, and now we move on to the most fun game. So this is not our game of the year. This is the game that's just simply the most fun. The game where you could say, listen, I could sit down right now and play this for an hour and be happy.
Yeah.
Why don't you lead the dance with your choice, Aaron? You chose Alienator.
I did. Now this is a game. You talk about coming out of nowhere, Boat. Alienator, and I think this caught both of us by surprise. This was one of our PD episodes, Public Domination, and we've played a lot of Public Domination games that were like, sometimes they're pretty good, and every once in a while you find that gem.
That's
your
right.
Alien Fish Fingers, you know, your Hangar 18, or that one.
Well, all these games have to do with aliens.
Yeah, and this one, it was a top shelf game, Alienator, where you fly a ship around defending your planet against these UFOs, these aliens. Listen, what can I say about this? The fact that this is a public domain game is ridiculous to me. How this guy didn't go to the money bank with this engine.
Yeah.
Run smooth, 3D. This guy figured out how to make the controls work, right? These controls were spot on. One button, one joystick, you're golden. It's got the gauges, all the gauges on this thing work.
The HUD is immensely useful. Yeah.
When things explode, they shatter and spark up. It's amazing. There are certain ships that are real tough. There are ominous ships. There's like skull face ships. The levels, it gives you a chance to learn what you're doing as you move up the ranks. Then it starts firing it up, making it a lot more complicated, a lot more difficult. This is one of the few space games where I could control my ship, and I felt like I knew what I was doing, and I also felt like I was in like the hot rod of spaceships, where you were really rocketing around. I love this game. This one blindsided me. This was, in my mind, this was up near the top of the games we played this year for me. Is it the deepest? No. Is it the most? Is it the game that you'll play for 100 hours straight? No. But for a little arcade hit, especially on the Amiga, where you're not known for these sorts of games being fun. This was a lot of fun to me.
Yeah.
And you liked it too.
I'm going to have more to say about it because it's going to come back a little bit later on in the list. So the most fun game for me, I had to go back to the classic. This was nominated by Paul, a.k.a. Hermsky, episode 302 on May 28th. This was SimCity, Aaron.
Oh, yes. I know you love these.
You know, SimCity is a game that they've made countless iterations on. SimCity 8000 by now. You know, and I've played most of them. I've got the new SimCity that's real good. I can't think what it's called right now, but it wasn't made by Maxis.
It's not SimCity.
Yeah, it's not SimCity, but it's great.
City Skylines.
City Skylines. I played the heck out of that. But there's just something about the original because you're not worried about all the things that you're worried about. You're not laying down water pipes. You're not adjusting the level of the terrain. You're not creating hills and valleys and things like that. You're building a city. You got your residentials, your industrials, and your commercials. You're doing the best you can with what you have. And then once you get it all built, you turn the disasters loose and you watch it all crumble. There's something in it. Part of it's nostalgia. part of it is that I played the heck out of this on the Super Nintendo, which I believe is the definitive version, but the Amiga version being the lead platform, the original game was developed for the Amiga. I believe that's the case. It was either the Amiga or the Macintosh, or they were developed simultaneously. This is where it all started, and to me, this is the one that I always come back to. What do you think, man?
You know, I'm not a big SimCity guy, as you know. That much said, totally playable. You could sit down. It's one of those games where you sit down and screw around and have a good time. You can make a city. You can wreck a city. You can screw with a city. It's more limiting than the sequels would be. SimCity 2000, I liked more than this. But you know, mostly I just go there and mess around anyway. It was a good time. Is this the most polished version? No, but it's still it's still playable. You can still have a good time with it. And I know if you're into this sort of thing, this would be big with you. It's not my favorite, but I can understand why you dig it.
Yeah. So that was my most fun game. Now, Aaron, we move on to our final category, Game of the Year.
Oh, man.
All right. And I'll lead the dance this time. And guess what?
What's that?
It's Alienator.
Really?
Alienator was my Game of the Year, and I'll tell you why. First of all, this game came out of nowhere, as you said. I want to repeat some of the things you said, but I'm going to do it.
I was right.
Yeah, you were right. This game came out of nowhere. This guy created this game, this engine, what is essentially a 3D Defender game, is what you're doing. He developed this game, and for whatever reason, he decided not to shop it around. He didn't take it to any trade shows. He didn't call up any publishers. He just decided to put it out there.
Yes.
Okay? And this game,
as far as we know.
As far as we know. This game destroys so many other games that try and do the same thing.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you that the secret is all about the same thing that you said. It's the sense of control that you have. You really feel like you're controlling the spaceship, and you feel almost one with it. The way that the mouse controls works. That's what you in a good simulation game, like whether it's motorcycle or boat or plane. You want to feel like the controller has disappeared, because in most cases you're not going to have the real controls. You're using a keyboard or a mouse or whatever. You want that to disappear, and you want to feel like you're in the cockpit, and that's what this game does for you.
Yeah.
I love the fact that the map is easy to understand. It's not too big. It's not too small. I love the fact, like you said, the HUD is perfect. It lays everything out that you need. It doesn't waste any space.
It's one of the few times where they actually made a HUD just the right size to put the information you needed to play the game.
Yeah.
There's no extra HUD. They don't have the name in there. It's all proper. I love that.
Right. At the beginning of the game, you get these beautiful 3D models that rotate around, and they explain what each character does, what each enemy does. And it's all spelled out for you.
It's
because
one of the advantages of having a PD game.
I was going to say, it's a PD game that didn't ship with the manual.
Yeah.
And the last thing, Aaron, is it just runs so smooth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's smooth like silk.
One would wonder why, like, having played games like on the Amiga, like a Wing Commander, for example, right? Like, I would love to have seen the ship control like this with the fluidity of this in that.
Right.
Like, then you got something. Like, they should have looked this guy up.
Right.
Now, there's a lot more going on in Wing Commander, but there's also a lot
less going on. Yeah.
I think you could have used this engine, and certainly the control scheme, which is one of the best ones on any game, certainly flying games on Amiga. It works great.
Right.
So I'm surprised that you named this your Game of the Year, but I'm pleasantly surprised because I thought about it because I have so much fun with it. It's an excellent choice, Bo.
What's your Game of the Year, Aaron?
I never thought I'd see the day where I would be the guy doing this, but I can't help it. I can't help it, Bo. My Game of the Year this year was Metal Gear. The Metal Gear port over here, it was awesome. It was everything about this was well done. They went to the definitive version of Metal Gear, the MSX version. Then they gave you the options, all the screen options, all the music options, new, well-made music for the game. You don't have to have it, but it's in there. And all the save features you need. And then when you boil down Metal Gear as a game, all right, and this is just, I'm going to call it like it is. This game is famous for a reason. It was a very innovative game. It's different than almost anything you're going to play of this era. This kind of stealth gameplay. Now, is this game perfect? No, but it's not the translation's fault. It's just the game is overly difficult and overly complex in some areas, right? But this is the game. This is the game that you get. You get everything that Metal Gear should have been, and what it did was it gave the Amiga the definitive version of this game on any machine.
Right.
This is it. And everyone knows about Metal Gear, everybody. And everybody knows about the MSX version, which playing this on the MSX, it's almost like a bridge too far for a lot of people, right? What Hoffman gave the gift to people all over the world that don't even know about the MSX. A lot more people know about the Amiga, and gave it to you with all the nice little bonus features that he could give you, including a new graphics for the ending, spiced up
new
graphics,
character portraits,
new portraits, and all the nice new tunes. When you're going to do something like this, and I was hesitant, it's like, it's not an original game or whatever, but I mean, we didn't get it on the Amiga. So few systems got this version, that makes it fresh to me. And so for me, not only was I surprised how much I enjoyed Metal Gear, because I played this on the NES back in the day. This version's way better. But I was impressed with the how much detail that they put into it. I really enjoyed this game. So believe it or not, I put Metal Gear as my game of the year.
I've got to be honest with you. I wouldn't have expected you to choose this game in a million years, because I never really pegged you as a big Metal Gear guy.
I'm not.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm one of these guys. I call him like I see him. And trust me, when this game came up for us to play, I'm like, oh, here we go. Metal Gear. I remember this old thing. It was fun, and it makes you think, and it makes you approach things in a certain way. Now, it's not perfect, like I said, but it's fun. And on top of it, it's not just the game itself. It's the fact that this very, very well-respected game is now almost like an Amiga exclusive. It's a huge deal.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I would call this an Amiga exclusive, because you're not going to get this package anywhere else.
So and to me, the translation, the additional stuff, and plus additional stuff he didn't have to do. Right? He didn't have to do the music and the saves and all that stuff. He didn't have to do. He did. And the fact that he used the proper version, and the fact that he spiced it up and he did it in the right ways, all that stuff rolled up made that my game of the year.
Yeah. Well, I can't say much more than what you've already said. It's a fantastic game. I played 100 hours of the original NES Metal Gear. Mostly with the aid of the Game Genie, because it was just too hard. And this defeats it soundly. And if you are at all interested in a game that truly redefined what video games could do in terms of mechanics, in terms of storytelling, you owe it to yourself to check this out.
Now, I will say, with all that said, I stand by this. If Alienator would have had more, if there was more to it, right? And this wasn't such a pivotal thing, I probably would have picked it. I really, really like that game. And I think that's the true hidden gem. We haven't really uncovered a hidden gem with that for a long time. And I think that was a big-time hidden gem that I double endorse that. So this was a year of many highs and many lows. I looked back over the list of all the stuff we'd looked at, and there was a lot of duds in there. But there was some stuff in there that made it worthwhile. And the education stuff was surprisingly more fun, and not just Mavis, but a lot of the stuff was a lot more fun except for Designosaurus. I'm not gonna. That one wasn't that great, but the rest of the stuff I really enjoyed.
Well, we got one. We put out the call, and this was a call late in coming, because we all these end of the year shows, they kind of come upon us quickly. We asked our Discord community to write about their game of the year. Alan Kebab wrote in. He said, Knights of the Sky, one of my favorite games on the Amiga, but unfortunately I missed the show within which it was featured.
That was a surprise to me. Now, Knights of the Sky wasn't perfect either, but we did have a lot of fun with that one. I enjoyed it. But man, getting around it just took. That was the thing I didn't like about it. It was that made it a lot tougher.
Yeah, he said. However, you guys can take credit for a 64-year-old man battling it out with Baron von Richtenfen on his work PC in between jobs. Yes, I put together an auto-booting WinUAE image with Knights of the Sky in it, so my dad could fire it up this year when work was slow and get himself up on the dogfight leaderboard. So Alan got his dad going with this thing. That's awesome.
I love that. That's dandy.
He says we used to talk about the family when we spoke on the phone, but now he insists on taking me through his latest plane he's unlocked and how the Red Baron is X kills behind him.
I love that.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Boat.
All right, Aaron, that's going to take care of our best of the year and the worst of the year, but now it's time for the ever-popular Amiga Predictions.
Oh, man. The hat. The hat's in good form this year.
Yeah,
it was
it
a little
is.
flat last time.
Well, you know, I puff it up before I go out.
Oh, man. Okay, I got to hear these.
So, Aaron, well, I got to hear them too, because you're about to predict. Aaron, what are your predictions for 2021?
Well, you know, I'll make a couple here if I can. I've got to start off with the Amiga 500 Mini, which is coming out. I do predict success for this. I think you'd be an idiot not to predict that. However, my prediction is, number one, me and you won't see one of these featured in any store we go to in West Virginia. We'll have to order them. And I do predict that by the end of the year, the full-size version will be announced. And as a side prediction, I predict that aside from the fact that it will have a full-size, full-running keyboard, they will also allow you to emulate peripherals.
Oh,
that's my prediction. There'll be peripheral emulation in there. There you go. That's one for me.
Okay, well, I'm going to go with, also related to the Amiga 500. Okay. I'm going to predict that we will see these on store shelves. I'm going to predict that GameStop, EB, whatever they're called, I think we're going to see a shipment of these.
When was the last time Electronics Boutique was around? That's been literally decades ago.
Whatever.
And you're predicting things?
I'm predicting the rise of Electronics Boutique.
Wow,
then Funko Land's coming back.
That would be stunning.
So I think we are going to see these based on, I think the C64 sold pretty well. I think that they were holding back on, and I think that, and it's possible. I mean, how often do you go into a GameStop?
Quite often, yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah, the kid likes to go in there.
Oh, okay. Because I rarely go in there. I was going to say, well, what
do you think the GameStop's going to have these?
I think they will. On their knick-knack shelf by the Funko Pops.
Have you seen any minis at the GameStop in the past 6 months?
I never go to GameStop.
Well, so you don't know if your predictions are going to come to fruition or not.
You're right. I don't know if my predictions will come to fruition or not.
Well, I want to hear you make a bold prediction.
Okay, here's a bold prediction.
All right.
There is going to be some sort of a game-changing Pi-based hardware solution for the Amiga 1000 that's coming up next year. It's going to be something that allows the Amiga 1000 to get that fabled 1 meg of chip RAM that it needs to run so many games. You're going to be able to plug this thing in somewhere on the board, and it's going to give you exactly what you want. Okay, that's my prediction, because that's really the only thing that stands in my way of playing a ton of games on the old 1000 is that 1 mega chip RAM. So I'm predicting there's going to be a Pi Zero based solution for the Amiga 1000.
Okay, I've got a bold prediction.
Okay.
This one's bold.
All right.
This is bold. I predict that it will be announced before the end of 2022. There will be a full-sized replica ZX Spectrum Mini. It won't be a Mini because they're going to skip that because the ZX Spectrum is small. It will be a dead flesh keyboard style ZX Spectrum.
48K.
Well, no, it'll be the big. It'll be the 128.
Well, then it won't be a dead flesh keyboard.
Well, they can do both. It's going to be one. No, listen. This is a Mini. Do what you want. It's going to have the Spectrum look.
So it's going to look
the abilities of the.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's still so they're going to still make the dead flesh keyboard.
Right.
But it'll be able to do everything.
That's correct.
Okay.
And it'll be just like the Amiga Mini with the front end, the whole 9 yards. But this will be a ZX Spectrum version. This will be announced after the success of the Amiga Mini. That's the only thing left, and it's going to be solid gold. I'm going to get one of those too. There you go. What do you think about that? That's bold.
That is bold, but also, well, here's the thing.
We'll never see that here either.
That I will agree with. So you would say if we're going down the list, we've had the C64, the Amiga. Next in line is going to be the ZX Spectrum.
The ZX Spectrum. It deserves one. Yeah.
I've got to agree with you because what are you going to put next in line? I mean, it's not going to be the Amstrad.
It's not just that, but think about this. Because me and you have played a lot of Spectrum games in the past couple of years, okay? Now, listen. A Spectrum Mini would be idiotic, okay? However, you can make one that's like 3/4 size or maybe full size, right?
Right.
Same package in there.
Yep.
and there are tons of untapped Spectrum games ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
They're gold. You get you put joystick port on it. They were already you're used to using the same sort of sticks. They'll put a USB on it or whatever, and they'll release a stick for it, and it'll be that right there will be fun. And they'll sell a lot of those because those aren't games. Those are games you want to play on your Spectrum. That's one where people will like the nostalgia factor. I think it'll do well. So that's my bold prediction, Bo.
All right. Do you have any Amigos predictions for 2021?
For this show?
For 2022?
Oh, gosh. Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I predict that Boat Fest is going to be a success that surpasses even our most wildest dreams.
Oh, yeah?
With the possible attendance of Amiga Bill bringing an entirely new dimension to things. If he does a live stream live from Boat Fest on the show floor, that's going to attract a crowd. We might even have to double down on Boat Fest 2023 and rent out the Civic Center.
Well, I don't think that's a bold prediction because I think your festival will do quite nicely. However, I will predict that the people will clamor for Dowdy Palooza 2023.
Maybe so.
And I'll open up shop directly across the street.
It's a competing show. I like it. I like it. You'll be right across the street in the Putnam County Library.
That's it. That's where I'm going to have mine. They got a big conference room back there.
They do.
And the people that come to Dowdy Palooza, they got to sleep in the street. There's nowhere to stay. I'm not running a boarding house here.
Out beside the dumpster behind Taste of Asia. That's where they'll go.
That's where the good food's at back there.
All right, well, we did get one New Year's prediction from our Discord community.
Wow, they really stepped up.
Oh, no, we got two. And again, I just announced this a couple days ago, so no fault on the Discord community.
You mean right before Christmas?
Yeah. So Ricky DeRocha says, Boat finally repents of his heathen Commodore 64 hating ways and learns to love and appreciate the C64 for the 8-bit wonder that it is. Unlikely.
You put over the C64 occasionally.
Occasionally.
Remember how much you got all off about the music on the thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And Aaron, he's got a prediction for you. Aaron quits his job and devotes his life to 24-hour Barbie streaming. We're still waiting on that Barbie stream.
It's coming. Here's the thing. If I could sustain myself with Barbie streaming, we were just talking about a Twitch streamer, a shameless Twitch streamer that makes Boku cash.
Mm-hmm.
If I could shamelessly Twitch stream 24/7 and get the big money, I would quit my job. I would stream Barbie, Ken, Scooby-Doo, Scrappy-Doo, whatever you want. I'd do it. I'm ready to go.
And Lord Soup predicts we get a duet of Aaron and the Boatster for charity. I'd love to hear the big guy's dulcet tones.
What charity would sponsor that? Would we do? It's a charity we don't like.
That's a good question.
A rich person retirement fund. Or something.
Yeah. So thank you as always, everybody, for your predictions. Aaron, as we come to the end of 2022, I did have a couple extra things up here. First one, we got a Christmas card.
Oh boy.
This is sort of a yearly tradition here. This is from the one and only Jonas, aka O'Brien's Retro and Vintage.
I'll put you close up here so you can hold it up there.
Yeah, he always sends us a beautiful Christmas card every year, and he says, "Dear Amigos, wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thanks for making such great shows. Loved Conversations from the Dark Side, by the way. Hope you'll make more of those." That show really developed a following that the numbers belie.
Well, it did great the podcast did great.
Right.
It's coming back. We'll be back in January. The next topic will involve UFOs.
Oh.
In fact, I've already started getting everything put together for that boat. So yeah, that's coming up. We haven't abandoned it. We're gonna have a packed January between that International Computer Club and all of our other nonsense. So yeah, that's gonna be a big month.
Now, Aaron, we did a little gift exchange on the air last week, but I had some last minute presents come in for you.
Oh boy!
So
thank you, Bo.
It's heavy. Be careful.
I've got nothing for you.
That's okay. Listen, you are more than generous with your gifts.
Oh my gosh! What is this? What is that?
So this is it's a wall hanging, a cloth wall hanging that my mom made. She wanted to, she's an avid listener of the
that up, we're gonna
podcast.
put you on the big cam.
Okay,
That's great.
She's an avid listener, and she wanted to make something for you. You know, she's all in on quilting.
Now wait a minute, your mom's an avid listener.
Yeah.
Oh man.
She listens every single week, and so
that's nice, Bo. That's very nice. Wow.
Yeah.
Handmade, eh?
Yeah.
I'll put that in here. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's awful. That's awesome. Thank her for me.
I will. Well, she will hear this.
Oh, there's more.
And there's more.
Oh, gosh, that's heavy. I guess it's H.P. Lovecraft book. Thank you, Boat. What do we got here?
Pick that up. Thought you might enjoy it.
Mysterious man Mysterious Man Behind the Darkness. Thank you, Boat. That's nice. I appreciate that. My gosh, why'd you give me so many goodies, Boat?
Listen, I got to get you the goodies.
What is this right here? Here you go. Can you take that? I like that box. This is this is Kentucky bourbon fruitcake. Oh man.
So that's made
the good stuff there.
in the monastery in Kentucky where my great uncle is a monk. Famous for its Kentucky bourbon fudge and fruitcakes.
Man, Kentucky bourbon, is there anything you can't put it in?
No.
We're gonna eat some of this later.
All
That's
right.
gonna be good. Thank you, Bo. You know what I like, buddy? H.P. Lovecraft and boozed up fruitcake. Outstanding. Thank you.
We got to move on to our community updates.
There you go, Bo. You're getting there, man.
Yeah.
So we missed a ton of stuff. So
we did.
We're gonna kind of briskly go through these, Bo. Now, the last time you were on the show was way back at Hardball. We're gonna just go flash forward to last. Of course, if you caught the show from last week, which is our Christmas show, but if you didn't catch this. I want to talk about our Snowed Under show, Boat, which was, we did a special R. Sinclair.
Mm-hmm.
In case you didn't catch it, there's us, Boat, hanging out right where we're at now. We took a look at a charity game called Snowed Under from Buddy Allen. And what a game. It's a beauty, isn't it?
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. This is a game, and I've thought about this all week, and I'm going to bring this up on the next Coco Talk. I'm going to mention this game by name. The Spectrum has no sprites, just like the Coco.
Yeah.
Okay. The Spectrum is approximately the same vintage as the Coco.
Yeah.
Why can we not get a game like Snowed Under on the Coco?
Well, you can. I mean, now listen. Now there's games that I think you could port this to the Coco.
I hope that he does because this game moves so fast. It moves so fast. It's got the levels are super. They're challenging, but they're not too bad. I love the way. I love the energy meter and all that stuff. This is a fantastic game.
You know. This game, Alan, it's like he wrote a game thinking, what would Boat like? It's right up your alley, this game. It's a single screen platformer. It's very clever. It's very seasonal. The music's good. Music on the ZX is great. This is a great game. And all the money, I think they said at least £4.25.
Yeah, all the proceeds go to charity. There, if you buy the cassette version, of course they've got to pay for the cassette.
Yeah, but all this is all for charity. So if you would love to give this a shot, and you should, please check it out. It's a lot of fun, and the charity stuff, they're all in the show notes on this. But give this a lot. In fact, Alan's in the chat room right now.
Yeah.
And good job, dude. I hope it did real well for you. And me and the Boat both love this one, don't we, Boat? So we recorded that last week after our Christmas show. I want to go back real quick just to a couple things that we missed. Boy, here's the seminal title for the car computer, speaking of the Coco, Dungeons of Daggeroth. Even your dungeon hating hiney like this one, didn't you?
That's
Bo?
right. That's right.
You had respect, much respect.
Much respect. This is a game, again, much like Metal Gear, that changed the genre and brought everything forward.
Yeah, it did. This is if you know anything about the Coco and you've heard certain games, their names whispered, this is the one. This is probably at the top of the heap.
Yeah.
When it comes to Coco games, we had a lot of fun trying it out. I'd tried it before, back when I was a kid, but I had a lot more fun this time around. So if you didn't catch the Coco show, give this one a whirl. And I'll tell you something else. If you're into dungeon crawlers, you know, we touch on a lot of those here. This might be one that if you're in Europe or you're an Amiga only type, that this may have passed you by. Don't sleep on this. Give this a shot because this could be fun today. This was a game that they really thought outside the box because the people that made it didn't know what they weren't allowed to do.
Right.
And so they did everything, and they did a great job. So this is one you definitely should give a shot, Boatster. We also want to talk about, me and Brent got up to something here. Now, listen, this isn't for everyone, but we had a lot of fun with it. This was VCR games, Boat. We had a heck of a time putting this one together because we had to find a game. We ended up playing a game, and we played it together, and the game was called Nightmare. It's not Nightmare everywhere. In some places, I think in Europe, it's called Atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a different sort of VCR game. Me and you played WrestleMania, the VCR game, a couple months ago, and where there's a lot of stopping and starting. This is a game where you just put the tape in, hit start, and the tape plays for the whole game.
Right.
And it really is a lot more atmospheric, no pun intended. It's the guy that got to be the actor, and this was great. Great. The script was good, and it was a lot of fun at least one time.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be as fun the next time. They made a bunch of these, though. They're all available on the board game thing on Steam. What's that thing called?
Board Game Geek?
No.
Oh, Tabletop Simulator.
Tabletop Simulator. Yeah. If you want to play them, you can play them for free. And we had a lot of fun playing these. We also, since we were on the subject, I also threw in a little bit of action on WrestleMania, just talking about me and you having played it. But it's a lot of fun. If you want to hear me and Brent talk about playing some VCR games or learn the history of VCR games, I didn't realize how long they'd been around, but you're talking like somewhere in 1984.
1984, yeah.
So I was surprised that they went back that far. This is a genre that probably won't be coming back anytime soon, so kind of neat. And we had a lot of fun trying it out, both. Lastly, just today, I stuck it up. The Thanks for Giving Marathon Part 2. Myself and the Brent, this is from last month where we did our Thanks for Giving. We've chopped it up into hour-long morsels, and this time around we took a look at the Atari 5200 and the ColecoVision. Guess which one's more fun to play with? Which is, you'd think the Atari 5200 with the pedigree that Atari had of its offerings, but we had a lot of fun playing a few things. Of course, the Dreadnought Factory, I had to get some of that in mode. A great game. We played a lot of stuff I hadn't played in the ColecoVision before, including
Keystone Capers.
Yeah, that's Keystone Capers is one. We played MASH. That MASH was a lot more fun than I would have thought it would have been. So if you're interested in just listening to me and Brent play some games and chat about these systems, this was from Thanks for Giving, and we had a lot of fun on that one. I'm looking forward to next year's Thanks for Giving. Actually, we had a good time on that. So that's what we've got this month. I think that's all we've got currently in the queue.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and close out the show. There's no Patreon song this week.
Oh, no.
So we would like to just thank our patrons, as always, for supporting the show. Patreon.com/Amigos Podcast. If you would like to support the show, you get access to our Discord. You can help choose the games that we play every week. A whole world of options opens up to you.
Yes.
And, of course, we'd like to thank all of our Twitch subscribers that watch us live as we record most Fridays at 5 p.m. During the holidays, our schedule is all jacked up, but we'll be back to normal before you know it. And, of course, we want to thank all the folks that are watching us live right now in the Twitch, checking it out with us through all the technical difficulties and stuff. We hope you've enjoyed the show, and we will see you in 2022. Until then,
Adios.
Adios.